Father of a nation, father of democracy, father of Botswana. Seretse Khama was the beneficial leader of Botswana who became its first president after leading an independence movement to eliminate racial inequality. Seretse Khama helped Botswana find economic stability and infrastructure, making Botswana one of the more prosperous countries in southern Africa. The name Seretse means the clay that binds together, which is ironic because of his talent to unite the people of his country. Seretse was a man born to bring people together. Bechuanaland, the former name of Botswana, was a British territory before gaining independence. Seretse Khama was the chief of the Bamwatu tribe, but he was different from the leaders before him. Seretse was very well educated, and he left Bechuanaland to pursue a degree in law at Oxford, and continued on his studies at Inner Temple, London in 1946. Through this experience, Seretse was immersed in both African and Western cultures, opening his eyes to the ideas of diversity and equality. While in England, Seretse met and wed a white Englishwoman, Ruth Williams. Because of the strong apartheid presence and the rarity of interracial marriages, many were against their union. In 1949, Seretse returned home with Ruth. There was a strong difference of opinions about Ruth. The Marathi, or tribe, supported Seretse and welcomed Ruth as the Mahungabi, or queen. But the surrounding countries of Rhodesia and South Africa strongly disapproved of the marriage, and they put the UK government under pressure to prevent Seretse from chieftainship. The community ultimately welcomed Seretse, and the elders of the Bamwatu tribe reaffirmed him into the role of Kajosi, or chief. Unfortunately for Seretse, this was not the end of his fight for equality. Seretse had to return to London because the British government wanted to see if he was, what they thought, eminently fit to rule. The UK had a lot of interest in gaining a profit from mines in Bechuanaland, and the UK was also afraid that South Africa would impose sanctions if Seretse was to return to power. So, because of these two factors, Britain gave in to the request to dethrone Seretse. In 1951, Seretse and Ruth were officially declared exiled to England, once again leaving leadership. The Bamwatu people were outraged with the British government. They knew that Seretse and Ruth were innocent. The British ordered the Bamwatu to find a new chief, but they demanded that their Kajosi be reinstated. This resulted in the British telling Seretse to renounce his chieftainship, which he did, and he and Ruth were allowed to return to Bechuanaland as private citizens. But Seretse's political abilities were too great to go to waste. In 1957, he began to participate in the local government, which ultimately led to the creation of a legislative council. Seretse slowly immersed completely back into politics, but this time with a different approach. Seretse's political focus was now democracy. Though he had gone through so much trial and tribulation, Seretse was a national hero to the people of Bechuanaland with his campaign for multiracial reform. Seretse was very successful in his return to politics, proving he really did have support in Bechuanaland. In 1962, Seretse formed the Bechuanaland Democratic Party. His goal for this new party was to reform Bechuanaland to an independent, non-racial state. These ideas gained the BDP popular support within the country. From there, Seretse and his supporters kept pushing the British for independence. In 1964, the UK finally agreed to release Bechuanaland. After the release, the first political elections occurred in 1965, with the BDP winning and Seretse becoming the first president of the newly independent country. The country of Botswana then emerged as its own country in 1966. This new independence has helped Botswana become a more racially accepting place. Because of Seretse's fight for equality, there has been a growing activism by small, previously unknown tribes in Botswana. This has led to a higher profile of their issues and all-around better communication for problems relating to racial inequality. Also, there are more references and open forums for people to voice their ideas. Some options include the Commission on Human and People's Rights and the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. This openness and willingness to improve racial equality is all attributed to Seretse Khama. Without his bravery and persistent efforts to be accepted by his country, Botswana would not be the remarkable country it has turned out to be. After becoming a democracy, Seretse began to make changes to the economic system of Botswana. He wanted to make it an export-oriented economy based on their abundant sources of diamonds, beef, gold, and many other natural resources. This large jump in exporting created fast economic growth for Botswana, which Seretse used to finance his economic projects. He worked on internal development projects such as building schools, hospitals, and roads. From there, he began to focus on improving the education, infrastructure, and healthcare systems. Over the course of 16 years of hard work, Botswana went from being one of the poorest countries in all of Africa to being one of the wealthiest. Seretse created a newfound stability for the country that had not been previously seen in Africa. Botswana's success has inspired the surrounding African countries that are suffering from poverty to attempt to follow the models of the Botswanan government and economy. Botswana's budget was mostly spent on expanding the administration of the government, infrastructure, the healthcare system, and education. Seretse Khama built the new democratic government for Botswana, which was extremely difficult because there was no existing structure to base it on. Seretse had to pay attention to security, especially because there was a raging civil war just outside the borders based on racial hatred and corruption. But, once the war ended, he helped the countries of Namibia and Zimbabwe become independent and start their governments. Seretse's government also worked on a provincial development plan in 1966, which reorganized the Botswana government structure and worked on its foreign trade economic policies. Seretse was so influential to Botswana that they named their newly built airport after him, the Seretse Khama International Airport. One of the major changes that Seretse has left behind is the healthcare system. There are healthcare options for all citizens of Botswana, which has helped them deal with the present-day issues. The outbreak of AIDS has halted the progression of Botswana's economy, but their healthcare system and hospitals are able to help and save those affected with AIDS. If you were to have AIDS in Botswana, compared to other sub-Saharan African countries, your healthcare options would be much greater. In Botswana, there is also a Teach AIDS Day, helping spread awareness of the disease. This shows just how far the educational system has come because of the reforms made by Seretse Khama. Prior to Seretse Khama, the entire country of Botswana had a total number of 100 secondary education graduates. Seretse put a lot of time and money into bettering the school standards of Botswanans, and soon 85% of children were in primary school. He also abolished all fees for primary and secondary education, greatly increasing the literacy rate. The middle school educational system is set up with a series of 2 exams, and these exams serve as an incentive for students who study hard in order to get into furthering education programs. After secondary education, in Botswana there are vocational education schools that offer education over the entire job spectrum, to create a more integrated system. Also, there are tertiary education schools. Students can choose to attend colleges of accounting, agriculture, administration, commerce, and health sciences. An example of this is the University of Botswana, which opened in 1964. They offer many different programs to their student body of 20,000, and students can receive a variety of degrees. The vast economic improvements that Seretse made to Botswana have set the government on a track for success. The government now has more stability and unity, 2 of the most important keys to a successful independent nation. Without the reforms to infrastructure and the inner workings of the country, Botswana would not have had the success that they have today. These newfound luxuries of healthcare, proper infrastructure, and education did not just happen on their own. Seretse Khama worked hard to improve the country of Botswana, and all of his hard work has paid off for the people of his country. Because of him, the people of Botswana have the opportunity for a longer, more successful, enjoyable lifestyle. Seretse raised the quality of life for the population greatly, and that will forever make him notable as their savior and hero.
Now I hope to assist my people to develop a democratic system, to raise our standard of life, and to establish a happy and healthy nationhood.
Does that mean that you will be taking part in local politics?
I will be taking part in local politics if I so wish.
On July 13, 1980, Seretse passed away at age 59 from diabetes complications. He was the first leader that Botswana had known, and they greatly mourned his death. His intelligence, integrity, and determination for bettering the country of Botswana makes him loved by all the people there. He will always be remembered, and he is most commonly known for upholding liberal democracy and a non-racial society, and that is the legacy that Seretse leaves behind. He leaves a well-run democracy, strong economic development, and political unity in Botswana, but most importantly, Seretse Khama leaves behind a nation that is better because of him, and one that will never forget his kindness and perseverance.
Seretse has renounced the chieftainship of the Bamangwato, and he is now allowed to return to his tribe. Before leaving, he thanks the British people for all the kindness they have shown to his family and himself. His future plans? To help his countrymen along the road to democracy.